Hello everyone, I'm Sean, and in this video I'll be discussing extreme weather event increases in Texas, some impacts that we've already seen, and some possible future impacts that we might have in Bexar County. The prediction information was sourced from the Texas A&M Office of the Texas State Climatologist report published in 2020 titled An Assessment of Historic and Future Trends of Extreme Weather in Texas from 1900 to 2036, as well as the City of San Antonio's Climate Prediction Report published in 2018. Over the last 3 decades, Bexar County has seen average temperature increases of about 0.8 degrees Fahrenheit per decade. And if the global greenhouse gas emissions continue at their current rates, climate projections for San Antonio become even more dire as the decades pass. Within the lifetimes of today's children, as early as 2071, we could endure summer maximum temperatures of 10 degrees Fahrenheit higher on average, 94 additional days of over 100 degree Fahrenheit weather each year, and 8 days per year exceeding 110 degrees Fahrenheit every year. And that's if we do nothing to reduce our emissions. Overall, the temperature in the winter will increase, but the probability of winter storms and extreme weather events like we saw with Winter Storm Uri will increase, which I will touch on shortly. This graph you see on this slide was sourced from the San Antonio Climate Ready publication, and it shows the likely increase of days above 100 degrees Fahrenheit under two different representative concentration pathways. The yellow pathway one being the scenario in which our greenhouse gas emissions peak in 2040 and then begin declining, while the second pathway, the RCP 8.5, is the pathway in which our greenhouse gas emissions continue to rise through the 21st century. So you can see some pretty significant differences in the potential days of 100-degree plus weather under those two different scenarios. So as I touched on briefly in the last slide, changes in our atmosphere will contribute to increased frequency of extreme weather events. So the rain and snow patterns will change overall, and we could see prolonged heat waves like we did last year in 2022. Tropical storm increases that will come from the coast, increasing precipitation, possibly leading to urban flooding events. There is the potential for more prolonged droughts, and also, like we saw with Winter Storm Uri, some likelihood of increased snow and ice storms. So, as many of you might have lived through in 2021, we had Winter Storm Uri, also known colloquially as Snowmageddon, or in some circles, Snowvid. Um, Overall, the Texas Department of Health and Human Services estimated in their final report that there were 246 deaths that could be directly attributed to the winter storm in Texas. However, some estimates point to the figures as high as being about 900 deaths in Texas. And the University of Texas estimated that the storm was responsible for approximately $295 billion in damage in the contiguous United States, with the majority of that damage being in Texas. And according to a report released in January of this year, 2023, by the Federal Reserve Bank of Dallas, the Texas power grid is still susceptible to failure in extreme temperature conditions. And furthermore, Texas Parks and Wildlife estimated hundreds of thousands of wildlife deaths, including those of threatened species. Another important consideration for Bexar County comes from the fact that the majority of our water comes from our confined aquifers of the region. The Edwards Aquifer alone supplies about 2 million individuals with fresh drinking water. However, the concern with potential prolonged drought is not a concern that the aquifer will dry up. Although with our population increasing rapidly, sustainable water use will become ever more important in the future. Um, but even with low water levels, they are a threat to the local springs in the Edwards and Trinity aquifers. And these springs are inhabited by threatened and endangered species such as the series of neotonic salamanders that require constant flow of cold oxygenated water to be able to respirate with their external gills, their cute little external gills, as you can see in this picture on the left. They require that constant input of fresh water, and if the aquifer levels get low enough, whether that be due to drought or over extraction, these animals will not be able to respirate. This picture I have here is one of the Cascade Cavern salamander. The only place where it's found is at Cascade Caverns, which is a public cavern here in Bexar County. And the picture next to it is my personal favorite stygofauna of the Edwards Aquifer. It's called the wide-mouthed blind cat, which it's a type of catfish that it is the only member of the aptly named genus Satan. And they have been found in wells of up to 600 meters deep. So their full scientific name is Satan eurystemus. 600 meters is a very long distance below the ground. And additionally, there are believed to be other stegofauna, or stegofauna being fauna that reside in groundwater systems or aquifers that have yet to be discovered. So there's a lot of potentially interesting critters down there just waiting for one of us students to discover them. And I hope to be one of those students. But as the weather conditions become more severe due to climate change, drier and longer droughts are likely to become more prevalent. This is according to our longtime state climatologist, John Nielsen Gammon. Although, according to John Nielsen Gammon, the Texas state climatologists report through Texas A&M, there are a lot of delicate nuances that interact, such as the potential for increased water use efficiency of plants as a result of more prevalent CO2 in the atmosphere, and that makes the predictions of drought, while likely, very hard to accurately predict. However, with our increasing population and our strain that we do put on our aquifers, the way in which we use our water will be very important as a society and as a species in the future. And this brings me to my last point, and that is that the endemic species that call Bexar County home are also extremely susceptible to habitat fragmentation due to urbanization and also the long-term changes in climate, such as increased heat. And this will undoubtedly change the ranges of some of these animals, and some of their ranges are extremely small. Bexar County is home to 11 endangered species, 15 threatened species and of animal, and overall there are 125 species of either rare, endangered, or threatened plant animal species that call Bexar County home. And this is important when we are trying to mitigate for climate change. And by no means was this video a comprehensive analysis of all of the potential impacts that we will see in Bexar County. I think there is more to be revealed, and our predictions can only tell us so much. However, I think the past few years have been a testament to some pretty scary weather events, such as the heat wave we saw last year or in 2021. I know that many of us were pretty deeply affected by Winter Storm Uri. Some of us lost pets. Some of us lost family members, and I think these types of events will continue to increase and the damages will pile up. So I think it's important that everyone be aware of what's happening and what they can do to be a good steward of the environment here in Bear County. So thank you so much for listening, and here are my references. Bye.